Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you to the two nominees for being here and for being willing to undertake this new responsibility. I want to take my time with you to flag the question of originalism that our ranking member has just raised. I've said before that I don't think it's necessary for a judge to come to the bench with a judicial philosophy. I think that's a fairly recent invention. And usually designed to provide an avenue for right-wing political influence into judicial decision-making. Specifically, that originalism is a judicial philosophy that somehow belongs in courtrooms is a bit of a mystery to me, and that you have to sign up for a judicial philosophy when you become a judge, I think is, in some respects, fairly alien to the very business of judging, where you've got the Constitution, you've got the law, you've got the language, and you've got reason and justice. And that would seem to me to be enough of a structure to make the right decision without importing a judicial philosophy. I would like to ask that a recent article by Dean Chemerinsky be made exhibit in this hearing. It's called "Even the Founders Didn't Believe in Originalism." And as the dean of a prominent law school, I think Chemerinsky's done some very important research on the question of originalism.
Without objection, will be entered into the record.
Thank you. And how, in fact, if you look at Marbury versus Madison, that's not an originalist decision. There's nothing in Article 3 in the text of the decision, if you're looking, as Dobbs did, for specific words like abortion, that says, okay, you get to do judicial review over all of Congress, all of the executive acts, as the arbiter of the Constitution. So I think that's one flaw in this whole doctrine of originalism. The other flaw is that it's followed with great selectivity by its proponents. If it were a real principle, you'd think they'd apply it irrespective of the direction that it took the decision that they were writing. But what I've been witness to in my time on this committee and in my time as a lawyer beforehand is that originalism is rolled out as a doctrine when it provides the results that are desired by the judge. But when originalism as a principle will lead to an outcome that the judges don't want, originalism gets jettisoned out the window. And I think if there's a question whether something is a principle or not, or a philosophy or not, it's that you follow it one way or the other. And it's not a principle of convenience or a philosophy of convenience that you only use when it gets you to the result that you want, or that the people who got you onto the court want, to be a little bit more blunt about it. So I would flag two particular examples, just so I'm not saying this without providing any support for that theory. One, of course, is Citizens United. If you want to look for originalism in that case, you have to look at Justice Stevens's dissent. The majority opinion was just completely made up. And to add insult to injury, hasn't even been enforced on its supposed terms by the judges that put it there. But clearly, there was not much originalism in allowing corporations immense power to spend unlimited money secretly in democracy, when at the time of the original founders, there was no role for corporations in American democracy. And if you want to make decisions based on the word abortion not appearing in the Constitution, how about the word corporation not appearing in the Constitution? And yet there's an entire enormous Republican judge-created array of decisions that have built corporate power into our democracy in ways that the founders, I think, would shudder to see. So you want originalism in Citizens United? Look to the dissent. Look at Heller. Judge Posner is pretty well respected, usually is seen as conservative judge. He said, if you want to find the well springs of Heller, you got to look elsewhere than originalism. So I think this whole question of judicial philosophy is one we've got to be very careful about. I think that some of these principles have been created in politically oriented doctrine factories, reverse engineered in order to get to results that the donors behind those doctrine factories want, and that there are an awful lot of judges who take one look at who's making the argument and what they want, and then they decide whether to apply originalism or not. And so that's a long way of expressing my appreciation to Dean Chemerinsky for his academic review of originalism and adding my own more practical view that, I mean, if you're going to have a philosophy, then stick to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Whitehouse. Senator Lee.
I disagree respectfully with my colleague's suggestion that Marbury isn't the natural